Wren Baker finally addresses the rumor about Oklahoma and the job, and Kirk Herbstreit wants College Game Day to come to Morgantown again. Let's go.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. What is up? I am in Provo, Utah. Welcome in, guys, to another episode of Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for joining in as we bring you another episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins, but you can't win if you don't play. So make sure you head to FanDuel.com today to get started, Junior. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. And I got to be honest, guys, I was dog tired yesterday. First day I've missed recording in a long time. I think since October. You know, it's not been the easiest trek for me. 3 days it went across country. We drove, I think, 3 different stops or 2 different hotels. I think, yeah, Independence, Missouri, Denver, Colorado. Coming through the elevation, 12,000 feet was rough. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a little bit. On this episode, what we're going to talk about is Wren Baker finally addressing his job and the security thereof at West Virginia. Will he take the job at Oklahoma? What does it mean? What do I read into the situation? And Herbstreit, man. I leave for a couple of days, and Kirk Herbstreit's talking about bringing game day to Morgantown. Yes, please. Give me that. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about the new commitment from the other day, the Japanese-born sniper that we talked about. We are going to watch a little bit of tape on him. I was able to find some. Man, this kid's more talented than I thought he was. So that's going to be fun as well. Thank you guys for being so supportive through this journey, by the way. Got to meet with Tom Satake, Coach Kalani Satake's father today for breakfast. It was great. Got to tour the facility. Just me alone with my mom. It was great. Got to tour the BYU facility, the locker room, up in the press box, up where the rich people go. Not the press box, but below the press box where the rich people go. So it's been pretty cool experience so far. We still got a lot left to do, and then I have to produce a really good video on it. But I just wanted to thank you guys for being so supportive. All right, so let's get into this Wren Baker stuff, because I didn't even know this had happened today. That's how busy I've been. I got home, or I got to the hotel, and started looking at what had gone on throughout the day. And I felt like this was probably something that I should jump on to do first. There were a couple things I could have talked about for sure, but I think this is probably the biggest news of the day. So we'll jump into it first and kind of get a first impression of exactly what's going on. So I know we did an initial video on this where we talked about Joe Castiglione going to retire, and they are going to be looking to somebody to fill the role at Oklahoma. Anytime a job, especially out this direction where I'm at now, comes open, we know Wren Baker is going to be named as a possible candidate for that job. We are conditioned to that now. So obviously Pete Thamel reporting that after the 2025-2026 year. So what I decided to do was do a hot piss confidence meter on whether or not I believe Wren Baker will stay at West Virginia or not. So let's get into that. Also, we're going to talk about Wren Baker and his obviously he addressed this. So we're going to get into that too, because, you know, I think there are some pretty cool things you can read in between the lines, right? But we all know that Wren Baker is from Valiant, Oklahoma. He's got degrees from Southeastern Oklahoma State. So he has a natural name to surface for the Sooners job, and social media was ablaze with fans speculating on this. And I think, you know, most people expect Mississippi State Zach Selman to be the top candidate for the job, but I do think Wren Baker is in that conversation, right? So he spoke with Taylor Kennedy today of the Charleston Gazette and had quite a few things to say about it. So we will jump into that here in just a second. I got to get to my – so he said, first of all, anytime your name is thrown out there, there will be speculation. It's a credit to the people here, like student athletes, coaches, and staff that are doing the majority of the work. I'm a member of the team of several hundred, and no one is more significant than the other. People recognize that there are a lot of good things happening at WVU, said Wren Baker, taking the opportunity to compliment the staff and what's going on at West Virginia. Like, I get that. Why wouldn't he do that? By the way, I'm getting this from West Virginia Sports Now site, Mcafee. This was just the first place I read it. I was in a hurry to kind of get the episode up. So credit to Mcafee for this quote, even though I probably could have found it anywhere. I didn't want to not give him his due credit because I'm reading his site. He said, "I'd love it here at what WVU. My wife and two girls, more importantly, underline that, love it here and love being here. We're very, very happy here. In the time I've been here, I've never entertained not anything else," he added. So, okay, you can read that line a couple different ways. I've never entertained anything else, right? As in, why would I entertain this? I've never entertained anything else. Or this is the first thing I've ever entertained. I've never entertained anything else. Just wanted to give you guys two different ways to look at that, because I think there are two schools of thought on it. I've seen two different types of debate on it, and I'll give you my opinion on that as well. He said, however, you also don't want to get into the habit of every time there's speculation, then it's your responsibility to pour water on it either. Generally, I don't address it. I've stayed consistent about what I can honestly tell people, and that is that we're extraordinarily happy here. Forgive me, guys. My tongue's a little tied. I guess I must have got rusty in the one day I took off. So it's been a pretty interesting ride for Wren Baker at West Virginia. I think you can, there's no doubt you can say he's done an incredible job. He's probably had the most hectic journey of any AD in the country, replacing 4 coaches in 4 years, a football coach, a basketball coach, and just name it, baseball coach. And that's just that's just the easy things to talk about. We can talk about the difficulty in fundraising in West Virginia. We can talk about the Bob Huggins situation. We can talk about the Darren DeVries situation. We can do the Tucker DeVries situation. Like, there are levels to it for sure. But I think generally speaking, Wren Baker has had a good time here. And I mean, he posts pictures of that epic view outside of his back patio every single day. So it's like, he obviously loves it here. And I do believe that he loves it here. So the pros, if he's going to take over the Oklahoma job, I think the home state poll, that's a bigger stage, you're replacing a legend, that could also be a con. And also the pay bump. You're probably going to get a pay bump. Cons, there's unfinished business at West Virginia as it pertains to Oklahoma getting him, right? Family happiness, right? That's a con for Oklahoma people if they're looking at getting Wren Baker. The competition, obviously, for the job is going to be something. And then, obviously, West Virginia's got momentum, I think, with Mark Kellogg, Ross Hodge, and Richrod. Most people feel like we're heading in a pretty good direction. So, and he's had some pretty good fundraising success. Now, that's not even a question at Oklahoma. You're going to have success at Oklahoma fundraising. So it's an easy place to do that at, I would imagine. So I came up with five different, just like with a hot piss meter, right? So I came up with 5 categories out of 10 that I feel like Wren Baker, it fits the profile of him and, how the hot piss meter would work. So these are the reasons I think he probably will stay. The cultural fit. I give him, he is a 10 out of 10 cultural fit at West Virginia. He's totally bought in and ingratiated himself into the West Virginia culture. I really do believe that. He's got rural Oklahoma roots. I think it matches perfectly with West Virginia and our blue collar vibe. He's embraced the state all the way from the New River Gorge, to Mingo County, West Virginia, and the coach's caravan. He's all in on the state of West Virginia. I do believe that. He's got contract stability is another category. I mean, that's a obvious one, right? I give that an 8 out of 10. I think he signed a 2-year extension in May, locking him in to 2030. So he's got great incentives. He's got 1.1 I think per year with incentives. So that's a pretty strong commitment from both sides. The program's momentum. He's had some pretty big hires here recently. Mark Kellogg taking the women's basketball team to new heights. The football team with Richrod. A lot of us are happy about that. And then a few of us that think Ross Hodge is going to be the right hire. I think he's going to be the right hire. So I've got an 8 out of 10 in program momentum after this. Maybe that should be lower. That's up for debate. Family happiness, right, is a 10 out of 10. I think as you just said, his wife Heather and his daughters Addison and Reagan are settled and happy in Morgantown, and he's repeatedly said it's his family's his top priority. And I think they're thriving in West Virginia. And then leadership and revenue sharing, I gave that a 9 out of 10. Baker's obviously navigating West Virginia through a tough revenue sharing era. But I think he's positioned us to compete nationally, which is why Rich Rodriguez talks about and Coach Hodge talks about. We want to win championships, and we believe we can. I think he's invested in this vision, and he wants to see it through. For a total composite confidence score of hot piss for Wren Baker to stay in Morgantown of 45 out of 50. The only way that this gets dicey is if for some reason Zach Selman, who most people consider to be a Norman native who has ties with Oklahoma. The Selman family obviously Selman was also a former Castiglione aide. So obviously that's going to make him the front runner in this. And why would West Virginia and Mississippi State are similar jobs, right? So I think why would you not so if Selman for some reason turned this thing down, this thing gets cranked up because even though Wren Baker said what he said, I will say this. Whenever he said, I've never entertained anything else, I absolutely think he entertained this. You're lying to yourself if you think he didn't. And if he didn't, if there's a chance that he didn't, I'll retract my words. If that ever comes out or is ever said, I'll retract my words and say he's never leaving because there's not a better job that's going to come open most likely than Oklahoma. There might be 5 in the entire country that you can name that are better. So if he's not going to entertain Oklahoma, he's not going to entertain LSU. He's not going to entertain any other job outside of Oklahoma State. That's the only job that is instant. I'm gone, right? We all know that. We all hate that. But let's hope that Oklahoma State keeps its AD for the rest of Baker's life, hopefully. So we all love Wren Baker. I think most of us accept the fact that he's as good as an athletic director as we're ever going to hope for. And let's roll with that. Although I do think Nick Saban would be an interesting replacement if he'd be willing to do that. And obviously, that would be the only upgrade I could think of off the top of my head. Let's go to break. On the other side, guys, I wanted to do this show today. I'm not going to lie. Kirk Herbstreit wants to do game day in Morgantown. How likely is it? And also, Sir Paul Cheeks, that name, man, it's an elite name. I thought that was funny that they reacted to that. We'll take a peek at a clip Pat Mcafee put out and have a laugh at that. And also talk about game day in Morgantown, an important event. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by none other than FanDuel. And look, when we talk about FanDuel, they're doing it big, right? Sports are in full swing in the summertime. And when they're talking about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? We all need a little extra thrill in our lives, right? With FanDuel, you can get on the game right now while friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I get it. I'm in Provo getting sunburned right now. Trust me. All summer's in full swing, and whether you're under the lights, you really need to do this, guys. FanDuel is where it's at. And look, here's the thing. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. So if you're about that life, be about it because FanDuel is right there waiting for you. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can just bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com to get started. It's segment 2. We're going to crack a Provo, Utah do and get into it because my favorite thing to talk about is up. That's the backyard brawl. I mean, how could I not love to talk about a subject that I love and hate so much at the same time? Want to beat Pitt so bad. I'll tell you what, guys. Since I've been here in Provo, I gave them a lot more respect for the Holy War and how much they hate Utah here. It's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing. But I've had a blast here. And let me just tell you guys, this is going to be a spoiler alert, probably a little bit for my video that's coming out on this. This has been an incredible experience. And I'm talking about 10 out of 10, incredible. Like, I wouldn't, you know me by now. I told them this. If I don't like it, I'm going to be honest about that. Right. And they've been very nice to me and all that. You know, there are stigmas around this place, I think, like there's no alcohol or whatever you want to say. Those are all not true. You can drink here. You can do most everything you can do everywhere else here. They have the best views in the country here, and I'm not kidding. I'll show you guys in the video I produce. Just a little spoiler before you jump into this, but this has been a 10 out of 10 incredible experience, and what an amazing college town Provo is. If you've never been here, I highly suggest going. All right, let's jump into another segment about West Virginia and our hated rival Pitt, of course, with the backyard brawl. And look, we know we think it's a game day destination, but what about to everybody else? Because I think it's time to buckle up. I think West Virginia is the place to be for college game day in week 3. The backyard brawl between us and Pitt is more than just a rivalry. We know it's a grudge match steeped in history. There's definitely heartbreak, and never ever has there been more heartbreak and the possibility to undo some of it than in this era under Rich Rodriguez. And Kirk Herbstreit is all in on Rich Rod's relentless vision for West Virginia. And he's practically begging for game day to set up in Morgantown, guys. And I believe that would be the best atmosphere in the history of our program. If that game happens this year in week 3, not only will I be there, it'll be the most electric atmosphere, I think, in the history of our program because of 9-13, because of Rich Rod's first Power 4 game since 13-9. The fact that 13-9 happened 17 years ago or 18 or whatever it will be then, and we're playing it on 9-13 still blows me away. And I'm a numbers guy, you know, so obviously if you're looking at the reasons for it, there are so many, right? There's the emotional weight, the sting of the 2007 upset. It still sits with some of us. And it's their biggest Super Bowl win, even more than the national championship wins. Do they talk about 13-9? And maybe they should. I mean, they did prevent us from going to a national championship game. I would do the same if I were them. But at the same time, I think we're all past that to some extent and ready to move forward with Rich Rod. And God, if there's a God out there, can somehow, some way we pull an Arizona State and just have a chance to play for it? Because I think we had some teams that could have won it, especially that 07 team. What a dark day 07 was, just because of the series of events that happened that just don't normally happen. Whether it's the Mcafee missed kicks, whether it's the Pat White thumb, whether it's not being able to stop Shady McCoy, whether it's somehow Dave Wanstead outcoaches Rich Rodriguez, which is 1 out of every 100 times in history. Like, I can go on and on and on about it. So obviously this is a matchup on September 13th. That's obviously a poetic twist mirroring the date of 2007. So it adds extra fuel to the redemption arc for Rich Rodriguez. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And let's watch the clip now of just what he had to say, because it's man, you know, I get it. Like, I do think that Herbstreit kind of puts on a bit for the camera, you know, whenever he's on Mcafee and all that. But I still do believe that he said what he's saying here is legitimate. So let's get up. They're talking about Sir Paul Cheeks, obviously, then to get into this.
I recruited him. He's a great player.
Boom. He's a dog.
It's a new era in Morgantown, and I am officially on the bandwagon.
There it is.
Because Rich Rod, to me, I'm all all in
I
on
heard
Rich
some
Rod.
stories about the first hill that these boys had to experience with
I
Rich
love that he
Rodriguez.
says things, the way he talks, the way he says, like, we're not doing that. Like, we're going to go back to work and we're just going to grind. We're going to, and these guys probably, they don't know what hit him. Has he lost a lot of players?
So there's been a lot of action in the portal.
That's so funny that Herbstreit probably doesn't know for sure, but he just knows to ask that because Kirk Herbstreit obviously was very, 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 very involved with the program last time Rich Rodriguez was here. In a different way, but we were such a nationally relevant program. We were the organ of the day, right? In my opinion, we were when Boise State was on their great run. I'll even go there, because Boise, even though they were a group of five, we were technically, till a lot of people consider a group of five, even though I don't believe that, because we played in the Big East, so it was similar. In my opinion, because I think Boise was as good as anybody a couple years talent wise, especially when they had go back and look at Kellen Moore and those teams they had, which excellent teams that you don't want to face. They just lacked a little bit of depth at times, which is similar to us. I think a lot of West Virginia fans have a hard time admitting that maybe we played in a little bit lesser conference. I look back on the Big East and remember how awesome that conference was, just like I love the Big 12 now. But I can honestly sit here and say for sure there's no way that the Big East measures up to the Big 12 now, week in, week out. Any fan that says otherwise is just rose-colored glasses remembering the Big East. We didn't have the UConn game, outside of the 1 or 2 years they were good in this Big 12 now. We didn't have the South Florida game a couple years. We were much better than they were, although they gave us a lot of trouble at times. And they were really good at times. We didn't have the Rutgers games where we just blew their doors off. We blew Cincinnati's doors off a couple times. Obviously the Louisville game was the closest thing we had to a year in, year out kind of measuring stick, kind of game. But yeah, overall, man, and I don't know if that's a controversial. I'm not sure what you mean there, Daniel. That comment kind of took me off guard. He said he likes listening to me, but if I ever make that statement again, that if there's a God out there, that's just a saying, dude. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God. You're taking that way too literally, man. Anyways, back to Kirk Herbstreit, what he was saying, and then we'll react to that. That kind of threw me off.
And I don't know if it's been a two-way street or not, if it's been potentially like, hey, don't know if you're going to fit in with our style, or if the player's saying, I definitely don't fit into this style. But
style is relentless.
We've replaced now. We got dogs in there. So
they're coming.
So that's what I'm saying.
Coming.
So I had immediate yup, this year they're going to go. But I think if you go from one culture to the next, especially with how polar these particular cultures will be for each other.
Yeah, opposite.
You got to get it in there. That's the whole department. That's food, nutrition.
100%.
It's
everything.
Everything in the building.
Couldn't be any more opposite.
And I'll tell you, I think the state of West Virginia is excited to have a little bit of a
How could you not?
Rich Rod saying, hell, if we win a big game, I think they got an ordinance against it. I guess I'll pay my fine in advance. I'm burning fucking couch.
Yeah. That's so funny. Pay the fine in advance, and I'm going to burn a couch. That is such a Rich Rodriguez thing to say, y'all. So obviously there's a lot to unpack with all that, but just overall, my overall thoughts are Rich Rodriguez paying a fine in advance to burn a couch is something that I would pay the fine in advance for him, as long as it's not like 10 grand. I would pay the fine. I'm not coming back with 5 wives. I actually found out somebody in the comments saying I'm coming back with wives. Skylar, if you're watching this, who is one of the people down here in Explore Utah Valley, I've got their hat on, by the way. This is the Explore Utah Valley hat. It's pretty nice. They told me that's kind of a myth. There is no 5 wives. So trust me, I had my hopes up at first anyways, but yeah, because they heard me whenever I forgot they were watching my shows, kind of vetting me. And they heard me say, because I was thinking out loud, what would my thumbnail be for the video that I'm going to do on this Provo trip? Would it be me with 5 wives, or, just all these, kind of like how we get stereotyped at West Virginia, right? They get stereotyped a bit up here, but they took it in stride. Good fun. It was a good laugh, but they did tell me the extra wives thing not true. I think that might be I think they get confused with uh Jehovah's Witness a lot. I really do. I think they get confused with them. And I do believe they have multiple wives. Anyway, we're way off track here. Backyard brawl, there's a couple competition games that week. I'll have to pull them up another time and look. I've looked before. We do have a couple games that, if both teams are undefeated, there's a chance that it might be a more sexier national game. But I guarantee you this, there will be no game on the docket that day that has more stories. None. There will be none. Not only will it be Rich Rodriguez coming back, right, to West Virginia, playing Pitt in a game that won't be played for a few more years, by the way, which is another reason to play this game. Righting the wrong that is 13-9 to an extent. You can't right the wrong all the way, right? But you can, unless we win it all this year somehow, which is not happening. But so there's that, and then there's also the Pat McAfee portion of this, who is as tied into this game as anybody else, missing 2 kicks in the game, and feeling like he was the reason we lost and all the death threats that they faced. Like, there's a lot of reasons to this game. Like, I can think of 10 segments. If I was producing game day that day, I can think of 10 segments you can do that would impact national audiences. The first person I line up is Pat McAfee and have him narrate it all. He's going to narrate the entire thing. Like whenever they narrate like what happened in 2007, because they're going to have to do it. I'm going to have Pat McAfee in a very sad tone narrate that thing, right? And kind of talk about, I thought I was the reason. And then kind of have it explode into, but it's a new era in town, and that kind of thing, and it'll be a hype video by the end. That would be my goal on it. I'm for hire, by the way, if they want to do that. All right. So overall, though, taking everything from it, I do need sunscreen. Yeah, you're right, for sure. I ain't used to the sun. I've been in my house making content for 3 years. Let's watch some tape really quick. How about that before we jump off here? Our new basketball player, I went and found some tape on him. And can I just say, walk-ons, you don't expect to really contribute. And I don't know if this kid will contribute this year, but he's talented. And I think he's going to contribute at some point. I really do. We'll be right back and talk about it, because it's an impressive kid. All right, we're back in segment 3. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Try not to argue over religion in here, and try not to get into the polarizing topics. If you can. I understand that people want to talk about this stuff, and I'm definitely trying not to tell you it's your First Amendment right. You can do whatever you want. This is a public space, but it can only go bad most of the time, especially when you have 2 people dug in on social media, one against the other. And like what you just said, Brad, there are going to be a lot of that's going to cause some people to want to come at you there. So I understand that's your opinion. You're definitely entitled to have it. I'm not telling you can't talk. I'm just saying, let's just stick to sports here. You know what I mean? That's all I'm asking. All right. So Raven's in the chat now, and I think some others. I don't know if Shaq's in here or not right now, but Raven will time out you. All right. So it has to get vulgar, though. Like I tell them, don't just time out people for having an opinion. I'm okay with that. As long as there's no threats, you're being respectful. It's just not about sports, Brad. That's all. That's all I'm saying. We're in here to talk about sports. You know what I mean? Like, you guys can chat on the side, maybe about religion or something. I just don't want to deviate in the chat from what we're supposed to be talking about. Maybe I'm wrong for that. If I am, we can talk about it. But let's get to the tape on this kid. I had my doubts. I told you guys I saw a little bit of tape on him whenever this all came about in the beginning. When I did my initial video on him, did my hot piss meter on him, the whole thing. And I don't know. Part of me thinks that I could be wrong on this. Or is like a hot meter go? All right, let's get there. All right, turn the volume down because I don't know if this is copywritten music or not. This is his YouTube channel, by the way. Neil Howlett, or however he says it. Guys, let me just show you really quick. This is in 2023. He's gotten better since then. This kid can play. Like, I'm not just saying that. You'll see, though. I was shocked. I knew there was a reason they brought him in, but I just didn't know. You know what? There's another video that's much better quality than that one. We'll watch that one instead. Sorry, guys. I clicked the wrong one. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is the one I would rather watch. This one's a better view, you know what I mean? And you get to see him working a little bit more. That's him right there. Nice little dunk down the sidelines. But, I mean, you see him, and then there's this stroke right here. He's got a beautiful stroke. He can really – and he's 6'4". He's a big kid. He's definitely got good size. Here he is on the break, and you'll see a crafty finish at the rim, up and under. So that's impressive. And I keep telling myself, okay, 6'4". And then look at the pump fake off the hezzy, come up around, up and underneath. Nice. You know, pretty nice. Look at that jab step. Guys, that's a very good jab step here. Boom. That's a quick jab step. That's a very quick jab step. Now, and then no look pass to finish it. Come on now. Like, there's some talent here. I don't know if he's ready right away. He definitely needs to gain. Look at this no look pass. Beautiful pass. You know, I know he needs to gain some weight, needs to develop and all that. But offensively, dribbling, passing, shooting, like, that's an insanely good Euro step. That is a college level Euro step for sure. Disgusting. I mean, this kid's nice. You know, he's got some talent. There he is in the no-look pass. Off that almost looked like he was going to do that up and under again. Now, here's the thing. I don't know the talent right here for sure. I don't. You know, and I mean, it's AAU. I know that. But outside of that, I don't know. There's the cross to the left hand and a buttery smooth mid-range. So, you know, there's that pump fake again. A left-handed step back J. Like, he's got an arsenal of moves. It shocks me to watch him, to be honest. How's this kid pump fake, left-handed step back J in the mid-range? Nicely done, man. Coming off screen and finds the open guy. Nicely done there, too. Baseline left hand, no look pass inside. You can tell by the guys he's playing with, definitely not the best athletes, but there's a lot to work with here with him. Nice little spin inside. And I keep telling myself he's 6'4", 6'3", whatever he is. So he's got size. He's got some positional flexibility, probably a combo guard, a kid that can definitely play 1-2, right? And maybe guard 1 through 3. He's got an incredibly good jumper. I looked at the stats online. He's right around 38, 39% from 3. He can shoot off the dribble. He's got a step back J. He's got a hezzy game. He can go down the baseline. He goes up and under. He's crafty at the rim. Like, I can go on and on about the kid. I just don't know, you know, at the Power 5 level. And here, like, that play there tells you a lot because he's able to be physical, right? Even though this kid he may just be a regular high school basketball player. What I want to see out of this kid is some kind of that little mean moxie, right? And here you see it here as he goes left down the baseline. Watch him use his body to create space and get to the rim. That's beautifully done. So, you know, this kid, he's got a lot of – I think this is one of those kids where he's like a Hudson Clement, in my opinion. Like, this is a kid's got some raw ability that inside, you know, maybe 2 years, you're talking about a kid that's in your starting lineup. Like, I think he's got that kind of upside. I don't think that he will contribute this year any type of minutes, but give him a year in the program and come talk to me. I'm not writing him off. I was so impressed when I watched this earlier. He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can dribble, and he can guard. And he plays, and he is a very good passer. Like this pass here, you know, nowhere to go, and then just a one-handed, beautifully done. So I'm curious to know how you guys feel in the comments about him. Is this an underrated pickup for the staff who seem to be sort of like Richrod, very capable of picking up these what I consider gems, hidden gems, because this kid can play. So, obviously I want a big for sure. So like this doesn't speak to the rest of the roster or how I feel about it necessarily, but like, yeah, this kid's just in him specifically, very impressed with him. I was more than shocked at this tape. Now, like I said before, I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar. I'm not saying he's even going to be a starter this year or anything like that. I'm saying that he's got the raw ability coming in to turn into that. You get what I'm saying? He's definitely got upside. He can dunk it. He can crafty finish at the rim. He's got every move you could ask for. Like he is more molded than some high school players coming in. And he's already got a year in college where he redshirted last year at Weber State. So I'm imagining he's coming in pretty polished. Maybe he will play some this year. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I mean, he's another piece that you add to this roster and you got one spot left. If something happens, he's the first and most expendable person on the list. Maybe ODA, right? I'm going to figure out how to say that one of these days, but obviously our other 6'9" big, maybe not. I mean, we need size. I get that too. So maybe that would be something that I wouldn't want to be in anybody's position to have to make that call. All right. So Andrew, this is the first Mountain Dew I've had today. I've drunk all water today. So I don't know if that's a good enough excuse for you, but I am taking it serious. But I do, especially I'm really tired. I'll just be totally honest with you. I'm really tired. I almost didn't record 2 days in a row for the first time in, I can't remember when, probably a year, so since I went to the hospital, I think. So, I needed a little kick. I don't know if that's a great answer or not. And here's the funny thing. I don't want to drink coffee because I'm afraid to get too worked up and then my anxiety comes out. So it's like a catch-22. But thank you for being concerned, man. And I know I need to put it down for good. Ranger Buck, thank you. 131 watching. Well, actually more than that. We've got 400 watching count here, X. So anyways, but yes, thank you. Only 10 likes. Thank you, Mike, for liking and sharing. If you guys could, before you bang out of here, hit that like button. I'm in Provo, Utah, getting you guys information about just everything, right? I made this 3-day drive to Provo, Utah for y'all, right? So that I could produce a video that I think we're all going to be proud of. And you could say, hey, our guy made that. And I'll tell you my concept idea for it. There's a video, if you've never seen it, by, I think let me go see what it's called really quick. I'll give you guys my inspiration for the video. So for the type of video I'm going to do, 1 second. So Backyard Brawl 2007. So it has nothing to do with this subject or anything like that. But basically, the way I want to do it is, if I can find the video here, let's go to, let's see, filters. It's got to be in most watched anyways. View count. There we go. All right. So anyways, oh, that's why. No wonder. It spell checked me into 2024 for some reason. No wonder it didn't look it up. I was sitting there thinking, why is this not coming up? Okay, here it is. All right, so I'll share a screen with you guys really quick before we jump out of here. And this is my concept idea for the BYU video. And for those of you who don't know, what I'm being asked to do is I've been come down here to Provo, and I bought a GoPro. I'm filming around Provo. I've gone and visited like Coach Satake's father today, gone around the facilities, going around like seeing what's really cool to do here. Guys, there's so much to do here, but so I'm going to do a video on that, but it's going to be different stylistically from what I usually do. And I'll show you exactly what it's going to sound and look like. So I can only play this video for like a couple seconds. just because I don't want to get hit with any kind of copyright, but just to give you an idea of exactly what is in my head for it. Like it's going to be slides. It's going to be my voice over it with some kind of music. So something like this.
It's December 1st, 2007. We're at Milan Pusker Stadium in Morgantown, West Virginia, the number 2 ranked West Virginia.
So something like that, right? Where there's some music in the background. There's some footage from what I've done from this week going on. It's going to take a lot of learning on my part to do it with Adobe and different things. Like there's a bunch of different programs that I don't normally use. I've never ripped, like me going into StreamYard, which is this thing here, and just recording a video and just only audio and putting that over slides isn't going to really cut it for a video like that. So I'm really kind of excited to dive in and kind of just go all out with this video. Like I'm really trying to make this thing go big. So, and I've also got some people at BYU that are willing to repost it that have large accounts. So I think it's got a shot to really do some good numbers. And also I want them to know that they invested in the right guy. They picked me over a lot of people, I'm assuming. So there's a lot of people in the West Virginia space that, you could definitely say could have done this, and they chose me to do it. So I'm very happy about that. All right, guys, that's all I got for you on this one. Don't forget to like before you leave. I will be here back tomorrow for sure. I have been diligently trying to record daily while I've been doing this, but man, is it tough. So thanks for making this video your first listen. Make sure you check out Locked On Portal next, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll update you again from Provo, leaving Saturday. But until then, I'm out of here.